Hello, I'm glad to be here with you. We are all sheltering at home during this pandemic, and I wanted to make a little video to talk to you about the Matrix. Some of you have had this before, and it will be review, and for some of you it might be new, but I hope that it's helpful for all of you. So the Matrix is a particular way of sorting our experiences, and what I want to do is just kind of show you what I've written on this whiteboard to start with. What you can say is that all of us might be able to divide up our experiences into those that move us toward something that matters to us, something that's important, or that move us away from things that we don't want to experience. And you can see all people and all animals doing this, moving toward something that's important, something that matters, and moving away from things that we don't want. But when it comes to human beings in particular, we also have an inner life. So it's not just our external or outer behavior that matters, it's also our inner experience. And so that gives us these 4 quadrants, and you are in the middle, noticing. So if you were going to write this for yourself, you would write me noticing. In the middle, noticing these 4 quadrants. So I'm going to go through each of them. Over here, in this quadrant, where your inner experience, and on the side of moving toward, we want to ask the question, who or what is important to you? You might start to name some of the people who are important to you in your life, and maybe some other things that are important to you, maybe qualities that you want to exhibit in the world, ways of being that you want to be about in the world. So if I was going to do this for myself, I would list my family, as people who are important to me, and my coworkers, my clients. And what is important to me is to be loving and caring, and some other things too, being effective, being compassionate, being helpful. So you can fill this out for yourself, but we all tend to have these kinds of values in common in terms of who and what is important to us, but yours will be somewhat different than mine. Another thing that we have in common is that we all find it difficult to be our best selves and to act on those things that are most important to us. So we're not always the people that we want to be in our relationships with the people who matter to us, and we're not always sort of behaving in the ways that we would most want to behave. And when we're not doing that, very often it's because something has shown up inside of us that makes that difficult. So when you think about who or what is important to you, and whether or not you're behaving in ways that are most like the person that you would want to be, related to the people and the qualities that are important to you, what shows up and gets in the way? What are the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs that kind of show up and get in the way? And you might even think about, right now, during this pandemic, during this time when we're all at home, when maybe you're not working or not working as much, or maybe you're trying to work from home, or maybe you're at home with family members and finding that stressful. Maybe you're a healthcare worker and you're worried about being exposed to the coronavirus. Um, so we're in this really tough, difficult situation. What are the sort of thoughts and feelings that show up inside of you that maybe make it difficult for you to be your best self? For me, thoughts and feelings that show up inside of me are anxiety, and sometimes I have should thoughts that are should thoughts about how I should be or about how other people should be. Like I have should thoughts about like I should be a great homeschool teacher to my kids. I should be organizing things. I should be scheduling things. I should be doing this perfectly, which if you have any sort of perfectionism in you, you might recognize that. And there are others I could list, and maybe others you can list too. Feelings and thoughts that show up inside of you that you actually don't want, that make things difficult for you to be the kind of person you'd want to be. And so then what you want to think about is when these difficult thoughts and feelings show up, we all tend to do things that other people could see. Like we tend to act in ways that move us away from the suffering that we don't want. So we could call these away moves. I'm just going to write away right here on my whiteboard. And I'm going to draw a camera up here. I usually draw a camera up here just to remind us that what's up here are the behaviors and the actions that other people could see. So, when these thoughts and feelings show up inside of you, I'm just thinking another one for me is kind of feeling out of control, which is easy to feel during a time like a global pandemic. What are the away moves that you might make? What are the things that other people could see you doing that are actually about trying to not have this, trying to not feel what's uncomfortable about this, or trying to not think these thoughts, or trying to sort of do something about them in some way to ease the discomfort. So you think about what it is, what are your away moves? What do you do to try to escape or avoid or control thoughts and feelings that you don't want to have? It can be really subtle things like just distracting yourself. Maybe you find it really hard to tolerate boredom and anxiety, and so you're constantly distracting yourself. And maybe sometimes that works for you, and maybe sometimes it doesn't. So over here, we're not sort of judging or evaluating these away moves as good or bad, or even whether they're helpful or not helpful, or effective or not effective. We're just noticing that what they're about, what the purpose of them are, is to actually move you away from things, thoughts and feelings that you don't want to have. So some things like distraction could go here. It could also be behaviors that might cause more serious problems, like substance use or even self-harm behaviors. So for me, when I have thoughts like, I should be doing this perfectly, and I'm feeling out of control and anxious, you could see me doing things like, trying to schedule everything, trying to put myself and other people on a schedule. Or you could see me cleaning and organizing, which, can be a useful thing to do, but it kind of serves a function of helping me to not feel this, right? Now, the next question to ask yourself is, if you were actually behaving in ways that were consistent with the person that you most want to be, and were in line with the people and the values that are most important to you, how would you be behaving? Like, what could we see you doing? What are the actions that we could see you taking? So for me, in this situation at home, acting on my values of being caring towards my family means just spending relaxed time with them, like doing things that are fun and relaxing, and kind of letting go of expectations. So it might just be things like, watching movies with my family, or playing games. And, making this video is one way of acting on my values related to how I care for clients and coworkers. So maybe you can see that. So this is just the first step of the matrix. There's more things that we could do with this. But it's a helpful way of starting to think about what you're doing and what your experiences are. So as you're noticing your experiences, asking yourself, is this something that's showing up on the inside of me, or is this something that's happening outside of me? And also, are the things that I'm doing moving me toward what's important to me and what matters? Are they moving me away? One final word that I would say about thinking through this matrix for yourself during this pandemic is, if you haven't put yourself down here as someone who's important to you, you might consider adding yourself. And then thinking about, what gets in the way of you acting on your values as it relates to yourself. And what would that look like? How could you be kind to yourself during this time that's really stressful? And what could you do that would be just acts of love and kindness and compassion for yourself when you find yourself suffering? So that's it. That's the first step of the matrix. And what I would invite you to do is just, after you've watched this video, maybe over the next few days, just try to notice when you're doing something. Is it about moving towards something, or is it about moving away? And just practice kind of making that distinction. All right, I hope this has been helpful. Take care.